Well, hey there, beautiful people, and welcome to the next Tanuri X video. And today's video is 5 movies you may not have heard of. Hold on. Hey there, beautiful people, and welcome to the next Tanuri X video. Today's video is 5 great movies you may not have heard of. Does that make sense? 5 movies you may not have heard of. There must be a simpler way to put that. 5 movies you haven't heard of. Oh, 5 great movies you haven't heard of. 5 great movies you haven't heard of. Some of you may know that I studied film in London. I've made a few movies myself, not feature-length films, but short films, some of which you're welcome to see. Check out the description, or at least the links in the description below, if you want to check out some of those, which I was involved in producing, directing, screenwriting, all aspects of filmmaking. So I love movies, I enjoy movies, and I watch quite often. Maybe not as much as I used to, but I always try to watch the lesser-known movies. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy some of the blockbusters, some of the big movies that come out, but I really prefer a lot more of the indie films, the films that have stories that are really more about character, story development, character arches, some really enjoyable dramatic movies. And sometimes they're sci-fi movies, and sometimes they're fantasy movies, but generally speaking, most of these movies are dramas or true stories. So I thought, you know what? A lot of these movies people don't even know about, because when I mention them to people, they're just like, huh? I never heard of that. They may have heard of the actors, but 9 times out of 10, they have no idea that movie even exists. So I'd like to make this video as one of my first, a great movie, or at least 5 great movies you may not have seen. That's what I'll call it. Alright, so movie number 1, Love After Love. This movie, I guess the title pretty much says it all. After you've loved someone and lost them, finding love with someone new after that. And I really enjoyed this story because I don't think there's a single individual in the world today who hasn't experienced exactly that, who hasn't fallen in love with someone and then lost this person in their life, whether that's to death, whether that's to them cheating on them, whether that's to the relationship just falling apart, and then ultimately searching for, or at least perhaps even finding, love with someone else. So this really beautiful kind of comedy drama was super cool. It has a couple of really good dramatic comedic actors, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And if you enjoy, you know, comedies which are not slapstick, you know, they're comedies that are really grounded in reality, so you get a really good sense of, I've experienced that, I know what that's about, and you can laugh at those experiences because they're ones that you've gone through yourself. This is a really good movie to be able to reflect back on that and to see what these characters are going through, and in many cases you've probably gone through, and in some way be able to find the humor in it, while at the same time to realize how this is a part of life, and it is more than likely something we've gone through or may still go through in future, and it is also an amazing part of life. So watch this movie, get a sense for how enjoyable it is. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was amazing, and I'd like to add this on my first video of 5 great movies you may not have seen. Okay, video number 2, at least movie number 2, is called Permission, starring the actor Dan Stevens. You may be familiar with him from TV series Legion. He played the Beast in Beauty and the Beast, the most recent one, of course, not the animated version. And I really think he's a really good actor. If you've seen, what is that series called? I never did watch it. Abbey Road or something like that. Super popular for some reason. But he was originally in there, and I think that's the TV show that made him famous, and then he made his way to Hollywood. But anyways, I digress. Permission. Maybe a controversial story for some, and maybe something truthful for many. Again, a romantic well, maybe less romantic, but a comedy drama similar to the previous one I've mentioned, and basically touches on the idea of a couple who've been together for a long time, love each other, but they feel like they're missing something in their relationship, and they decide to explore the idea of having a sexual experience with someone else while still being in a relationship with one another.
What do you mean?
I think that you should sleep with other women.
And all of the interesting and truthful emotions and experiences that you would invariably have to deal with when making a decision like that within your relationship. A really enjoyable, funny, and again, very grounded in reality movie, which touches on those things that some of us in relationships may have to deal with. And I'll end off touching about this movie with one final comment, which is, for me, the one thing I just loved about the movie was a phrase that was said at the end of the movie. At one point in the movie, this couple kind of realized something about themselves, realized something about their relationship, even though those two things are different. And the one individual in the relationship realizes what they've been doing their entire lives. And that final little phrase that she says, truly profound. And I would say, if you watch this movie, to contemplate that phrase and to consider it for yourself in your life, either single or in a relationship, and consider if that is true for you. Okay, movie number 3. Now, this is not such a well-known movie. It was kind of an independent film. It wasn't a huge blockbuster. It kind of slipped under the radar for a number of people. I've spoken to it with numerous people, and many people haven't seen it. So it actually has two amazing actors, Ryan Gosling and I forget the other actress. What's her name? Give me a second while I look this up. I'm so bad at preparing. Right, okay, it's got a lot of good actors that you may be familiar with. Of course, Ryan Gosling, I've mentioned that already. So, had Ryan Gosling in it. Carey Mulligan, she's well known for being in so many dramas and Oscar and Golden Globe nominated movies. She's just a phenomenal actress. Ron Perlman, if you don't know who he is, he's just amazing. He was the original character or at least actor who played Hellboy. Super awesome. I love this guy. And now my phone's not working. Okay, right. Christina Hendricks. Okay, I'm not familiar with her. Bryan Cranston, right? Bryan Cranston. Breaking Bad. Oscar Isaac. Phenomenal actor. This is when he was still up and coming, so he wasn't so well known. So basically, it's filled with a slew of amazing actors. And this movie is called Drive. And it's basically about a stuntman, played by Ryan Gosling, who is also a getaway driver for people who want to commit crimes. And he kind of contracts himself out whenever they need a getaway driver, because he's such a good driver that he does that on the side to make a little bit of extra cash. And then basically he gets involved in a relationship with someone, I believe it's Carey Mulligan's character, who happens to be his neighbor, and all kinds of interesting and exciting and dramatic things ensue. So an amazing action movie, just super cool. If there's one word I think about when I think about this movie, it's cool. It's like smooth. This movie is amazing. When it comes to the music, the soundtracks, the sound design, when it comes to the acting, the directing, the script itself, it is such a cool and a smooth movie. You can't help but enjoy it. It's just amazing. The characters are great, from the villains to Ryan Gosling's character. If you want to watch just a super cool movie that you just can't help but enjoy, check out Drive. Movie number 4 of 5 great movies you may not have seen. And this one, I'm going to guess most of you may have heard of or possibly even seen. The movie's called Her, starring Joaquin Phoenix. You all know him from The Joker, amazing actor. Directed by Spike Jonze, an amazing director. Man, this guy makes such interesting, out there movies, but they're always so, what's the word I'm looking for? Deep, you know? They really touch on these amazing questions that maybe some of you, not all of you, are contemplating and consider, like, wow, what would life be like if this was real? What would life be like if that was real? And basically the movie revolves around this kind of lonesome, antisocial kind of guy, just broken up from the love of his life, and he's kind of depressed, if you will. He's a writer, and he kind of sticks to himself besides some of his really close friends that he spends time with. And he decides to buy this new operating system. It's just come out, it's brand spanking new, and it's kind of an artificial intelligence, which means it's an operating system that can evolve and adapt, and it grows as it learns through its interactions with you, the user. And eventually he falls in love with his operating system. And it is such a weird yet uniquely interesting idea, and it's so well made that it really touches on so many interesting dilemmas, interesting points and interesting things that we all deal with in life, perhaps not related to falling in love with our Android operating system or falling in love with Siri or anything like that, but with our need for connection and how important that is. And I think it's really topical, perhaps, in the day in which we live in today, dealing with this idea of the pandemic and how connection is even less possible today because of the pandemic and because of the regulations that the governments of the world have chosen to enact. We're forced to connect online. So there is some semblance within reality with this movie with regards to what we're experiencing now. So really interesting movie, super enjoyable, amazing acting, phenomenal directing, and a great script. You cannot not like this movie. It's certainly worth a watch. So check it out. Her, Joaquin Phoenix. And movie number 5 on my list of 5 great movies you haven't seen. It's called Chef, and it is starring, directed by, and written by Jon Favreau. If you don't know him, you probably do, but you don't realize you do. This is the guy that directed Iron Man 1. I think he directed Iron Man 2 as well. He also directed The Lion King, the latest Lion King. He is the creator behind the Mandalorian series on Disney Plus, Mandalorian season 1 and 2. This guy is a phenomenal filmmaker, phenomenal director. I just really thoroughly enjoy his creativity and his ideas, and I believe he was doing so successfully well with the Iron Man series, and he basically got Marvel going with Iron Man, that he made so much money and he was so successful at that they basically said, you can do whatever you want. If you want to make anything on the side, we'll kind of bankroll you. And I think that's what happened with this project, Chef, which I think was his pet project. It was something he wanted to create, and it's essentially about a guy who is so passionate about food and passionate about cooking. And the story revolves about a guy who works in a restaurant. Eventually, things come to pass. He leaves the restaurant. He's fired, in essence, or actually he chooses to leave because they don't allow him to do what he wants to do. They don't allow him to cook what he wants to cook. And he decides to kind of follow his passion and cook food the way he wants to cook, in a way that he wants to. And in doing so, he finds a way to also connect with his son, allowing his son to share in his passion, and in doing so share what he loves to do and what he's so good at doing with the world. This is, for me, just the most feel-good movie in the world. I mean, there's countless examples of feel-good movies, but this is the most recent one I watched again. That's why it's on my list. Just such a feel-good movie. It's so much fun. You can't help but love the characters, fall in love with them all. There isn't a single character that you don't like, except maybe the restaurant owner, played by Dustin Hoffman, phenomenally well. Even though it's kind of just like a guest appearance, he does a great job of being a total douchebag. But basically, a great film you just want to watch. It isn't like most films where you always have this moment where something terrible happens and you're like, oh my god, and then the lead character has to kind of overcome it. In this movie, it's just all good, Yeah, there's a few little issues, a few little problems that he needs to overcome here and there, but they're never dire, They may be dire in in the context of reality, but Jon Favreau, the actor, director, screenwriter, does such a good job of just keeping it light that it's just enjoyable and it's fun, and he kind of takes you along the ride, even, and interestingly, using that word, takes you along the ride, because he rides in a food truck for a portion of the movie, and you enjoy it, and it's fun, and you're excited about where this character's going, you're excited for him, and you just want success for him. And yeah, it's just a feel-good movie with, again, an amazing soundtrack. I love the music in this movie, a lot of Cuban music, which I love, and it creates that real fun, energetic, loving life kind of vibe, which, I get the sense Cuban people are, from the few individuals I've known who've traveled there have told me that even though, poverty to some extent is quite rife in Cuba, many people are below, middle class, it doesn't affect their desire to enjoy life, to dance the life away, to just live and enjoy every aspect of life, from food to music to dance. And I get a sense that that's kind of really drawn into the movie through the use of a lot of Cuban music and of course Cuban themes in the movie. So yeah, super fun and enjoyable movie. If you just want a feel-good movie, this is certainly the one to watch. All right, that's it for me for this, my very first 5 great movies you haven't seen. I look forward to making another one, because I know there's so many movies I've seen out there that I will start to remember that I loved when I watched it, that I will be making more of these videos, so that if you guys want to know, especially in this time of Corona and pandemic where you're indoors watching Netflix a lot or streaming a lot, and you're like, oh, what am I going to watch? Watch my video to find out. All right, until next time, please subscribe, like the video if you did. Alternatively, check out the links in the description below to see some of my short films that I've made. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Till then, mwah, ciao for now.